Hey everybody, welcome back to Soul School. Now it's about that time to get into tonight's subject. Tonight's subject on Soul School is the one and only Malo. Malo is bad, aka Bad Malo. The brothers from San Francisco, my Hispanic brothers, and they were signed to Warner Brothers Records back in 70 or 71. The first jam, Suavecito, is what I kind of got hip to like around 1972, which was a huge international hit, which featured the writing and lead vocals of the one and only Richard Bean. Now, Malo came out of San Francisco, and so it was really kind of special back then to be raised on this kind of stuff and now to be talking about them, because back in the day, when you start thinking about the Latin jam of those cats that were coming around from that particular area, that lane, you think about Carlos Santana, and I think it's the Abraxas album and a few other things like that. And of course you had the rock of Jefferson Starship and all those just different people. And it's interesting because that whole scene that would kind of come and kind of take the world on by storm, most people think it got started down in Laurel Canyon in that area with Emerson, Lake and Palmer and all those just different people. But quiet as it's kept, that stuff kind of started up here in the Bay Area. And, I think Carlos Santana went to Mission High School. Matter of fact, Malo came up out of Mission High School. And Suavecito was one thing that, people were listening to on the radio. But my brother used to have this band called Waiusi out of San Francisco. And it was right around that time, right before Raw Soul, which would evolve into Frankie Beverly and Mays, had kind of got started. And they used to all play around Winterland and Mr. D's and all those just different places, the Rickshaw, and just a lot of just different clubs like that. But anyway, Malo was one of those groups that, as I just started thinking about what everything that they did, it's all kind of coming back to me, and that's why I don't write stuff down. They had this jam called Nina, people who are my age and older know what I'm talking about. But man, we used to really jam that stuff back in the day on the radio. You had KYA, KFRC, I think Dr. Donald D. Rose, and just different people like that would be playing all that stuff. And then most people back then had bands in the garages, so no matter where you were, if you were in Oakland, if you were in Vallejo, if you were in Frisco, or whatever, everybody pretty much had a band and was playing all that stuff. And Malo is one of those groups that's not really talked about like that, because most people just think of Suavecito, but they had an album called Evolution that kind of came out, I think, around 73. And even that first album that had Nina on it, you could hear the influence as far as the playing of different groups that would evolve and start to kind of get somewhat catapulted towards stardom, superstardom at that time. War was coming out of Long Beach and San Pedro, and they also had that Latin jam kind of funk thing. But Malo, make no mistake about it, was all Latin jam. It was funky, but it was that Latin, Afro-Cuban Latin jam. And matter of fact, Carlos Santana's brother, I think his name is George or Jorge, he played in Malo. Richard Bean was in that group. Coke Escovedo, one of that great famed Escovedo family. I mean, in other words, these cats had some players and some people that could really play. And I got an opportunity to watch them at the Stockton Jazz Fest. Well, Stockton Jazz Fest, but I think it was the Tequila Festival where I saw them. Stockton has like 2 or 3 different things that they have going on kind of like around the same period of time. But the Tequila Fest, Malo was kind of like, well, Confunction was headlining, and Malo came on before them and kind of gave Confunction a very, very hard time, because one thing about Malo, and now they go by Richard Bean and Sapo, I guess for legal reasons or whatever, but they don't have no trickeration, they don't have no kind of lip syncing or any of that kind of stuff, no tracking. In other words, they plug up the B3 Hammond, the guitars, the Fenders, and all that kind of stuff, and they just play, and it's just a jam after jam after jam type of party type of deal. So if you're a band that comes on after Malo, you can consider yourself to be in you would be in a lot of trouble, to say the very least. Let's get to some entertainment from Malo, and yes, I do have their albums. I'm not just up here talking, I'm a fan of theirs. Let's get to that, and I'll be back in a few moments.
Stockton.